Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Conversations with Dr. da Silva. This is our second season, so welcome. And this is a TV show where your voice matters. And I believe that, the African proverb that says, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Also, like John F. Kennedy said, ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. And I say, let's take one step further and let's see what a community could do for each other. And this gives an opportunity for having various different guests to come and talk about different things. And today we have another repeated guest, Haim. Haim, welcome back.
Thank you. I love your show. I love to be here. And if I can be here every time, but it's impossible. So I'm here when you ask me to be here.
Yes, thank you. And Haim, what are we talking about today?
I would like to talk about body language.
Body language, okay.
And this is something that we use every day. Yeah, and on the most part, we don't know how to read it. And that will make our life much easier and understandable.
Okay. And so tell me, what made you decide to talk about that today as opposed to other times? I mean, it's something like you said, that humans have been around for quite a long time. And I guess some people who are able to read body language have a certain advantage over other people because I guess it shares or illustrates certain emotions that perhaps a person is going through without, unbeknownst to them, about perhaps things that they're doing that's sharing that or certain thoughts.
Here is what happened. It's we meet new people all the time, and we meet repeating people that we already know. Yeah, and with some people you have more interest than other. The other person don't know that. So if he know that what your interest in him, he need to kind of read between the line or take some clue from your other body part that we don't know how to read it. And it was one guy more than one, that put number on that. What I mean by that is, he said, it is kind of communication that we have. We communicate. When we communicate, there is three components that fall into this category, which is 55% from each communication, it's a body language.
Okay.
Our body talk, yeah? We don't know how to read it. And we have partial, very small amount of knowledge about that. We know how to read facial expression,
okay,
but that's about that. Yeah. But if someone have a poker face, you don't know. You can read it.
Right.
You don't know what to think, right? And many times you want to know if the person listen to you, if the person interested in what you have to say. If not, it's boring to talk to the wall. If the person not listening to you is not hearing what you said, you don't know that. Yeah? So you kind of, I keep talking, I stop talking, what I'm supposed to do now. And we have very small amount of knowledge about that.
Okay.
38% from each communication is tonality, which is, it's not what you say, it's the way you say it.
Okay.
Yeah? We have partial control on that, not a lot. And the rest is 7%. Yeah, that we have 100% control, which is the vocabulary, the word that we use.
Okay.
Yeah. So the word that we use, we have 100% control because we choose the language to speak. What kind of phrase you're going to use, what kind of metaphor you're going to say to describe a thing that's going on. Yeah. And that's make the 100% of any communication between two human beings, two or more. Yeah. Now, as more we know, it's make our life easier, which is mean, now we're sitting here, me and you, and we're talking. So I would like to know if you listen to me.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm sure Every person wants to know that. Yeah. So what kind of clue you can know that the facial face not give you?
Right.
Yeah. So for instance, you want to know if the person listening to you, look at his leg. If his leg facing you, he listening to you, because his two ears is
Parallel to it, yes.
Right. We can see that in nature. In nature, if you want to know the animal attention, look at the dog. Look at his ear playing like that.
Right.
Yeah. So when they play, you know where his attention go. And human being is the leg. When our leg, if my leg facing you, which is means I'm listening to you. Yeah. I'm interested in what you said. Yeah. Now, how do you know when it's not? When it shifts over. Now, my leg not facing you, my leg facing sideways, which is mean I have two ears. One I give to you, the other I give to someplace else, which is mean my intention is in and out.
Right.
Yeah. My interest in what you say, I'm listening and not listening. Yeah. Part I'm hearing you, part I'm listening to you. And there is different. I mean, when I hear you, I hear noise. When I'm listening, I pay attention to what you said. Yeah? So when you have that, yeah, I mean, that's give you a big clue if the person listened to what you said.
Right.
And it's very simple. I mean, just look at the leg position, if it's facing you or not. The other part is you can see the body language. When I'm interested in what you say, I come closer. You see my body? It's come forward.
Right.
Yeah. I'm very much interested. I don't want to miss anything, so I come closer to listen very carefully to what you have to say. Yeah. I mean, the facial, it's help, but it's very small part from the big body.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there is many clue. For instance, we see that with women. Women, when
Be careful
when
what
they
you're about to
cross-
say now, Haim.
what?
There's a lot of women watching, so be careful what
That's
you're about
okay,
to say.
that's okay.
Just trying to help you
Women,
out.
when they're standing and they cross the leg, they are very much interested in the conversation. They can go out like that.
Right.
They need to straight the leg and then go out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now you know they are interested in what you said, because they have no intention to leave. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is mean they are in the conversation. We don't know this part. Yeah. People say that you're folding your hand, you can close up. No, you don't. Sometimes you cold, you do like that. Yeah. Now, there is very much interesting about controlling issue. When you see the person sitting like that and the thumb sticking out. Mm-hmm. Now we measure you. Now we check you out. Yeah? And he wait until he find the minute to beat you up, to prove you wrong, to show you that he's in charge here,
I see.
not you. Yeah? You see person that's standing in a hand stick in a pocket
Yes.
and the thumb sticking out. Yeah, it's also, this guy have a lot of power in him and he have control. Thumb show control. You shake person hand. Yeah, look at the thumb. If the thumb stick out, he looking to gain control.
I see.
He want the control person in the conversation or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know how to read that. Average person don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, when you get that, you know how the conversation go. Now, when we shift to tonality, yeah, if you're good at tonality, yeah, and this is not what you say, it's the way you say it,
Okay.
right? If you're good at that, you go to Hollywood. You make a fortune, because that's what they're looking. If you can change your personality from set to set, that's what the actors do.
Right.
One set he plays a criminal, the other set is the police officer. yeah, or
The
any
villain or
other
the hero.
character.
Right.
Yeah, what the set need.
Right.
So you need to have good tonality to do that. Yeah, and this is game that you play. When you play tonality, it's a game. Yeah. So when you're good at that, that's what you do. Now, let's go to the 100% control is the word that we're using,
The 7%.
the 7%. Now, here we choose what kind of language we're going to talk. Yeah? And in that language, when you tweak it, when you choose the word that you use, you have a better outcome, which is, let's take one word, for instance. Let's take the word problem. What is problem? Someone created and someone to blame. That's the problem. I mean, you did something and I blame you, and now we have a problem here. Yeah? Now, when it's come a problem, nobody want to deal with that. Everybody stay away. People ducked, people, they want to be disassociate with that problem because you can fix problem. You just can't. Yeah, the problem is the tendency to stay there because it's comfortable to blame somebody. And if you try to fix that and it doesn't work, on the most time it doesn't work because people have different opinion about things. So it will never go away. Yeah? So you don't want to do anything about it. But see what happened when you switch the vocabulary, you switch the word that you use. Instead to call it problem, okay, we have a challenge here. Mm. And now all of a sudden, all the dynamics change. Yeah? Every person will jump in. Hey, let me do something. I think I have the power. I have some experience. I want to do something. And if I don't succeed to fix that, you're not going to blame me because I tried. You see how you turn the you know, we use metaphor. Yeah? We use about 6 metaphors in a minute. Every time that you want to describe something, you use metaphor. Now, the metaphor, from where you bring it, what part of your life you bring those metaphors, now I know what's close to your heart. If you bring the metaphor from sport, or from politics, or from singing, or from many ways, I know what you're interested in.
I see.
Yeah, and we use about 6 in a minute.
Wow.
If I tell you, okay, tell me, describe it. You need to come with metaphor. You need to come with story.
Right. Now, let's jump back to the 55% of the body language.
Okay.
Is there are there cultural differences like between Native Americans and perhaps Asians and South Americans? Are there differences in the body language? I'm assuming that there would be.
Yes, there is. Yes,
Okay.
there is. For instance, you're Brazilian.
Yes.
Yes. In Brazil, when you make this sign, that's not a nice thing to do to any person in Brazil.
That is true.
Yeah. When you do it in the rest of the world, that means it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There is kind of cultural thing that's changed from country to culture. Yeah. But this is, it's kind of rare. We don't use this. We don't use that a lot during the day-to-day.
Right.
We have more the universal. Are you listening to me? Are you interested in what I have to say? Yeah, if I'm interested, if my topic is good enough, or you're bored, you don't want to hear it. And I'm talking about this kind of stuff, not to go into cultural, which can be changed from, the slang make also different.
Right.
Slang here or slang in other part of the world is different.
Right.
Yeah, and you need to know what the slang.
Right, you have to know the culture, idiomatic, phrases and stuff like that, which is different from one ethnic group to another ethnic group. What I'm also curious as far as body language, because it's interesting because it's body. It's talking about the most percentage of our body, because our head is only a certain percentage of our body. We're talking about the rest of our body. How we, where we put our hands and how we cross our legs. Which way we're facing and different gestures like putting our hands on our waist and various different things. How that and again, it's a language. So if you're like if people are communicating from just that, what people are getting, where somebody may be more aware of certain body languages, where others may totally miss it and not be aware of what sometimes a person may be saying. Where do you find situations where body language could, for example, let's say politicians, they're communicating with each other at a conference or so on, and if the other person may be aware from the way the person is positioning his or her body, basically what their intentions. Their words may be saying this, but their body language may be saying something completely different. Is that something that people would perhaps want to learn more about, so they could have an advantage in those particular scenarios?
Yeah, there is. For instance, they did a program about shaking hands, and in a political world, shaking hand it's a big thing to show power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they show program when Bush meets, I think, Putin,
Mm-hmm.
the president. And now, when you see two people walking in the street, male and female, and they're holding hand, you can tell who's the control person among them.
Okay.
When they're holding hand, who's the back of the hand facing you as you walking by? Yeah, the person who have the back of the hand facing you, this is the guy that have control. Yeah. So when you're front of the camera, you all the time have the camera people that taking picture about the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So your position dictate which hand you're going to show up to the camera.
Right.
Which is mean, if the way now me and you sitting and we shaking hand, your hand going to show up.
Right.
Yeah. So Bush know about that. So when he came to the meet Putin, it was exactly the same way, and he maneuvered to the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they show it on the camera. He moved to the other side to show the world his back of his hand.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is mean he have the power. He have the control.
Right.
Yeah. This is one of the things. Sometimes you see people, as they talking, they lift up the body and they stand off their toe. The back of the heel go up.
Right.
Which is mean they want to make a point. Yeah. People that raise their voice, also they want to make a point. This is the reason they raise the voice.
Right.
People that come closer to the audience. Yeah. See, I'm here, I'm not going away.
Mm.
People that pull him back, just mean I'm here now, tomorrow I don't know.
Interesting.
So this kind of body language, it's if you don't know about that, you're never gonna know what does that mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so another aspect. I mean, for example, I, being a psychologist, my specialty is family systems and family dynamics, and I try to be aware, and like certain body language when working with families, working with father and mother and the kids and so on. So I'm wondering if that's something that people could be aware when they're dealing with their, interacting with their families or interacting with a group of friends and so on, things that perhaps they could be aware of that perhaps they are doing that perhaps somebody else could perceive if they're aware of it, or things that they should be on the lookout for when they're dealing, or they're in a group situation, or just on a one-on-one kind of situation. Because I think, most people do take that for granted, mainly because they're probably not just educated in it or informed in it. I mean, today, just, now, the past few minutes, you share some things with me that I was not aware of, about the thumbs, about, the hand, when you're holding a hand, somebody else shaking somebody's hand and so on. The thing about the crossing the arms. So I've learned a few things already, which I was not aware of. So what are things that people in general could be more perceptive about, and when they are in situations or scenarios such as that?
Say it again. Be more specific.
Yeah. What things can people, our viewers, if they, they learn some things that I just learned with you, and some things that they could be aware of that perhaps they're doing, as far as their body language, that they may be saying something or conveying some kind of, whatever it is that they're doing, a feeling or an emotion or so on, that perhaps they're saying that, but their body is not synchronized with that. So certain things that perhaps they could be aware of that they're doing, that a person that may be knowledgeable about this may be saying, oh, okay, this is what's going on with them right now.
It's your question is a good question. It's very, very involved, which is mean how much you know yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I say, what do you mean, I don't know myself? Most people don't.
You're right.
Most people know who they are according to our other people. If one person tell you, Cello, you great at basketball. In your mind, you great because you was told.
Because what?
Because you was told.
Oh, because I was told that. Yes.
Yeah. You didn't take the time to find out if you're really good. Yeah. And it's many part. We don't want to check ourselves. We rather to rely on what other people think about us, because this is the way we grew up. Our parents want to encourage us or want to destroy us, yeah, but with no meaning. But what they say to us, many parents say to their kids, nothing good will come up from you. Yeah, they say it in minutes of anger, right? The kid don't know the anger. The kid said, if that's my parents think about me, this is who I am. Yeah. So what he learned what other people think about him. This is who he is. He never checked that. He never take the time to find out about himself. And very few people do that. They take the time to find out who they are. Now, when you know who you are, you will start to have control about that. Because when you know who you are, you start to learn that other people are either similar to you or not similar. And the way it's work, yeah, when we communicate, yeah, we have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind look for what different between us, which is mean, you this color, I'm this color, you tall, you fat, you skinny. The subconscious mind search for similarity. Oh, we love the same thing. We have the same feeling. Yeah? So what you give more attention? To the subconscious or the conscious? Most of us give to the conscious mind. Because we go from what we see. We're not going from what we feel.
Right.
So where you put more attention? On what we see. What we see is the conscious mind. We look for different. We don't look for similarity.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely interesting, because if that's the case, if people, when they're utilizing the conscious mind, if we're looking for differences in most of our interactions on a day-to-day basis, whether it be one-on-one or whether it be with people at work, or friends, and so on, and then also on a larger level, on a global level. It's the us versus them. It's like this is me and my group that I see that I'm similar with other people that are maybe different and so on. That's interesting because if that's the case, you would think that that when you're interacting or you're communicating with somebody, body language is it's a very pertinent thing to be aware of, because if you see that person is more different on a conscious level, then everything that he or she does is going to affect you one way or the other.
You're right about that. And again, we grow up in that way. If we go back in time, the way for our parents to encourage us or to motivate us, they point on other people. Look at the neighbor people. Look how they're doing. Yeah. But you can be like them. You can do better than them. So they develop this competition before we even know what does that mean.
Keeping up with the Joneses and the sign.
It's go many directions.
Right.
But that shape your personality as you grow up, which is mean you listen to what other people think about you, what other people say about you. That's most important to you from everything else. And this is not. What's the most important is what you think about yourself.
Right.
But we didn't train that way. We didn't grow up. And that environment that develop us, not make us compete against other all the time.
Right. And I guess that's where it comes, the saying, so people feel self-conscious, because you're so more concerned about what the person is thinking about you, what the person is saying about you, or how the person is looking at you. So that's why a lot of times people feel self-conscious in certain
that causes stress. And I think we talked about that in one of the other
shows.
episodes. I'm going to repeat that. I mean, what causes stress into people is three things. I call it three switches that we born with, and we use it in a way not to support us, to harm us. Yeah? And the three switches is nobody love me, nobody care, nobody appreciate. When nobody love you, how does that make you feel? I mean, you're miserable. You feel lonely in the world when nobody love you. When nobody care, I mean, nobody care about me. I mean, you depressed, all kind of thing. And when nobody appreciate, so after all this work, after all what they do, no one appreciate that. Now, the nature give us those switches to support us in life, which is mean, if you don't love yourself, what, do you expect people to love you? Expectation is the worst thing that can happen, if you can stay away from that. Yeah? So you need to love yourself first. When you know how to love yourself, now you can share it with others. Now you have the control. Yeah? You need to be care about yourself. If you don't care, don't expect me to be care. Yeah? If you put yourself down, what do you want from me?
Right.
If you do all the work that you do, and you don't appreciate that, just means you don't value yourself. Oh, so what do you want me to do? You want me to value what you don't value?
Right.
So you see, when you reverse that, I love myself. Yeah, I care about who I am, and I appreciate what I'm doing. Now is your job to find that and to be with me in what I feel about those three things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't, it's not my thing. Right. It's your thing. Yeah, if you don't love me, I mean, it's not my job to make you love me.
You're right.
Not my job to make you care about myself, appreciate. You need to see it, you need to feel it. And usually when somebody loves himself, his personality, his whole appearance, his whole life showing up. Yeah, when somebody cares about what he does, usually many people join him. When somebody do something that he appreciates, he talk about that, and people accept that. That's make your life much more fulfilling.
Yes.
Yeah, and have a better life.
Now, we talked about the 55%, which is the body language, the 38% tonality. Now, I believe that wholeheartedly. It's not so much what you say, but how you say it. And I think that makes all the difference. I mean, you could basically, people sometimes are so focused on what they say to someone and how they're going to take it. But if you focus more on how you say it, it's a totally different way to go about it. And since communication is such a key thing between two people, at least, or a group of people interacting with each other, I mean, you could use what's going on in our society nowadays as far as people say politics, and people say never to talk about two things, religion and politics. But these are two things that affect people's everyday life. One is God's laws, right, religion, and the other is human, people's laws that govern us and everything else. So those are things that people really have strong emotions about and highly motivated about certain beliefs that they have about whatever. But the way you say certain things and the way the other person perceives it and how you're saying it, that makes all the difference. So it could be a situation where there's communication and it's civil, goes back and forth, or it could be in a situation where it just banging heads and people are not listening to each other. So I can imagine what the body language would be in a situation where there's two people talking about things that they're highly motivated about, and that means have strong emotions for them. And then when they're encountering each other, and depending on how this, what they're saying, but how they're saying it, and how the other person is receiving it, that makes the situation worse.
I will tell you that, which is when it's come to politician, it's the attention has to be shifted to what you do, not to what you say, because it's very known that politicians tell you what you want to hear. Is not what you need to know. Yeah, and this politician, that's the politic. Yeah. So when you pay attention to what they do, not to what they say, that's make the difference.
Right. Actions speak louder than words.
Right. Now, when it's come to religion, let's go to different level, which is, according to me, and I speak now for myself, yeah, which is God give us the 10 Commandments. When you follow the 10 Commandments, you don't need any other person to come and translate that for you and ask to make income from that. Yeah, I don't justify it. It's me. So I have the 10 Commandments. I follow the 10 Commandments, and this is my religion. Yeah, and I don't need anybody to come and translate it. Right. And give all kind of explanation to what God said. It's very clear. It's very simple.
Well, obviously it depends on what religion you believe. Some people don't believe in, who are atheists or agnostics, don't believe in God at all. But what I was just saying that those are two things that I find it interesting that they say those are two things you should never talk about. It's religion and politics, and I feel like, well, how can I not talk about it? Because they're two things that are pretty much affecting our day-to-day lives on a daily basis.
I disagree with you here.
Okay.
Yeah, and politics and religion. Let's go to religion. Religion is personal. I see it it's something personal.
Okay.
You want to believe in that. Now, when someone attacks your belief, he's your enemy.
Right.
So when it's come to religion, that's what happened. If I'm not on your same belief on religion, I'm your enemy. So I stay away from that. I don't want to have enemy. I have my own belief and I keep it to myself. When it's come to politics, politicians, it's known, they're not doing good in your life. They're looking for their life. Yeah. So why I need to listen to them? The only person that can change my life is me. So I'm more concentrate what I do for myself. Yeah, to be developed, to do better in life. Because the politician don't have the time for me. He need me once every 4 years, or once every 6 years when there is election. In between, I'm just a number. So why I need to pay attention into that? That's not develop me.
Okay. Yeah, I was using that. I was looking at a situation where, when people, I'm not necessarily talking about politicians themselves, but when people are talking about politics, which happens a lot now, and how people could better communicate with each other, where, tonality is an important thing. It's not so much what they're saying, but how they're saying it. I think that would be something that people could be conscious about, that they could utilize to serve themselves better and serve, the people they're interacting with better. Because otherwise, it just, it seems like just people are just like, just going their separate ways. They're becoming more divided than united. And there's obviously are important conversations, because it's not just, it's not about, when you hear the word politics, it's a certain connotation. But for some people, it's not a question of politics. It's a question of ethics. It's a question of morals, question of values, question of principles. It's a question of common decency. And if people feel that they're not on the same wavelength or talking the same platform, and people are at each other's throats, how can we better serve ourselves and each other in being aware of that? So not only the body language, but also your tonality. And then, of course, the 7% that you're talking about, the words that you choose as far as, vocabulary and that you have control of, where some of the other things you may not be so aware of, which I think it's an important thing. It's communication is a cliche for a reason. And how do we work better within our community, a local community or a global community, to be aware of these things. So I think for me, I hope that from other people, they think that will be an important aspect of, relating with each other.
This is kind of a priority. For some people, it's in a high level of priority.
Right.
Yeah. Some people, it's in a lower level of priority. And to shift that, you need to be persuasive toward people. Yeah, and I don't want to have any part of that, because, as I mentioned, I tell you what's happened to me once, way back, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I was in a kind of a meeting, and it was one politician that wanted to go to, I don't know, Congress or Senate or something like that. And he looking for a vote, so he came and he was talking to people. And I said to him, look, you will have my vote, yeah? When you start to tell people how good you're going to do, now how bad the other. When you start to talk how the other bad, and you don't highlight how good you are, so what I get here?
You're right.
You don't want me to vote to the other guy, but what you going to do?
To vote for him by default.
So that's not going to happen. I don't go into that conversation from beginning. Right. That's what similarity with religion. When you have belief in some movement or some party, Yeah? When someone come and attack your belief, he become your enemy.
Right.
It's on the spot. There's no time. With no time, he become your enemy. Now you change all the perspective about him. Yeah, just because he like the other party. Yeah, why you want to have that in your life? Why you want to make people stay away from you? Because instead to bring them closer, I rather to bring people close to me than push them away.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess. Well, for some people, like you said, it's a priority. Either it's a high priority or low priority, because some people really have strong emotions about, strong convictions about what they believe, and for them, it's everything for them, and for others, it may not be. So I just find it interesting conversation.
I understand.
In that regards, Haim, for our viewers, what would you want to leave them with as we close our show here? Anything that you'd hope that they were able to use and use for themselves and for others?
Well, first, I don't hope, and I suggest that nobody gonna hope, because hope, you sit down and wait for something to happen, and you don't take action.
Okay.
And usually nothing happens. Yes. So, what the action? I mean, I said something like that. It's every person should have a dream, and if you don't have one, go buy one, steal one, take from your grandma. You need to have a dream. Along the history of the world, nobody achieved his dream by himself. So when you have a dream, you need to have a team. When you have a good team, your dream becomes reality. Now, who you put on your team? You look for people that believe in you and support you. And they will challenge you on your dream, not by tell you that doesn't work. It's just, I'm here to support your dream. You want to go to the moon? Let's find out how to make that. Don't tell me I can't. Let's find a way how we can make that. When you have this kind of support, that's what you want. And you can have it from all over. Search for those people. When you find them, put them on your team, your dream going to become reality.
Okay. Thank you. And Haim, I just want to thank you again for opportunity for being on my show. And want to.
It's a joy and pleasure for me.
Well, thanks again. And for our viewers out there, I just want to say thank you for, for another episode of Conversation with Dr. da Silva. And until next time, you have a good night.